The true nature of reality, everything that you see in front of you right now, whether you're sitting in a room or maybe you're at an airport listening to this webinar on your iPad, everything that you sense, you can see, everything that you ever have sensed or will sense and experience, it originates from your own heart. If you could imagine this field around your heart emanating from the center of your chest, it is kind of like a little holographic bubble where everything around you right now is being projected from the center of yourself so that you could experience it as yourself. And coming back to this quote from Adyashanti that we looked at in the beginning, the fact that you seriously have to consider that you're asleep and everything you take is real as a dream. When we begin to look at reality from this perspective, that everything in this field around you, everything seemingly physical, is a product of this field that emanates from your heart, this is what I'm pointing to, is that the dream itself comes from the center of your heart. Everything that you in your life right now, everybody you love, it all begins inside of you. And this is not something to really be thought about or understood. It is just something to be sensed. Because if you can sense it and begin to tap into that, then an entire new dimension of experience opens up for you. You begin to see that there's really nothing separate from you. There is no separation. There's no duality. Everything that you experience is an experience that originates from the center of your own heart. It is your own creation. And when you can take that responsibility, that deep, conscious responsibility for it, things can begin to change quite rapidly, I'll tell you that. So the true awareness doesn't shine from the head. It is not a mental awareness. It is an awareness that shines from the center of your heart, like in this cool little alien picture here. So this is all, sounds very esoteric and kind of woo, but there's actually a direct application to this. And it's really not hard to do. It's the basics, and that's what I want to really give to you here on this webinar. Creating from the heart. How can you apply this, so to speak, into your life and begin to see some measurable results? There's this new age myth that you can manifest your reality with thoughts, some secret, or the law of attraction. If you just think enough and positive thinking and all that stuff, then you're going to attract your reality and get what you want. And in one sliver of a sense, that may be a little bit, well, not even in one sliver of sense, I'll say. It's a gross misconception, as you see later on. For this reason, anything that you do with your thoughts, with a thinking process, really originates in your brain. And what we've talked about and covered so far is that this really isn't where the juice is at. So it's not where reality really fundamentally resides in. It is a perception of reality, but it's not really the ultimate truth. The brain is polarized. It's split in two. If you just look at it, it has two halves. Left side and a right side. The left side is more logical, they say, and the right side is more creative. And most people don't know this, but you actually have two dreaming bodies. Your consciousness can be rooted in either one. But if your consciousness is residing in your brain, if you're really perceiving life from your brain, then you're always going to be in polarity, and this sense of good and bad, and judgment, thinking, analyzing, and in doing. And like I said earlier, whatever you create from the brain ends up in duality. So you get what you want, but also what you don't want. You get the dream you always dreamt, but then you get from the brain, and the brain does not know unity. It only knows duality. It's what it's made for. It's made to experience duality. However, when you descend and take your consciousness down into the heart, you begin to see things very differently. When your consciousness is rooted in the heart, it is a place of singularity, of oneness, and there's a sense of unconditional love. Most of us, we talk about love, but when very few moments in your life where you experience that real burning sense of unconditional love. I know it definitely happens when you hold a newborn child of yours for the first time. It's something I definitely experienced. This burning realization that you love this no matter what, and there's no judgment on it. It's just completely void of duality. And when you're in your heart, you begin to see everything like this. And this is why you have an access to a much more fundamental and deeper intelligence. And you can function much better from this place. There's a sense of timelessness, and what we'll talk about very soon is the heart. It operates not through thoughts, but through images. And these images arise from the center of your heart. And if the conditions are right, those images turn into reality. So these two dreaming bodies, you can confirm this just by looking at your dreams. You know, most often the time when you dream from the right side of your brain. So these are the weird dreams that we always kind of categorize into and put into that, wow, that was a messed up dream category, where you're being chased by something, or all of a sudden your mother's in a room and she's trying to hand you a box of Kleenex, and George Bush pops up and you're looking for earrings, but all of a sudden your ears are falling off and you're trying to super glue them back on, or some weird stuff is happening, you know. This is all in the realm of the mind, when nothing really makes sense, and there's always some kind of problem, and you're trying to figure it out, and there is an emotional side to it, but it's incoherent. And sometimes, I don't know if you had this experience, but when you dream, your dreams take a very different form. They're in a form of resonance, and there's this almost like a prophetic feeling and a feeling of peace and love, of meaningfulness and depth and beauty. And this is not the same type of dreaming. This dreaming arises from the center of your heart. And depending on where your consciousness is rooted, whether it's in the brain or inside of the heart, your outer reality will look like that too. So you can either be having one of these dreams of duality, of good and bad, and weird stuff happening all the time, like most of us experience. You know, nothing really goes our way, things are getting in the way all the time, and you kind of want something to happen, but you know, there's just a sense of rubbing up against in life all the time. Or you can have this other experience of connectedness and flow. As we'll explore later, silence and the breath is actually one of the keys of entering into the heart and becoming aware of this field. So it's a completely other way of being and navigating through and perceiving reality. Instantaneous creation takes place from this place. If you just take one thing away from this webinar tonight, whatever you want to call it, God or consciousness or source, it's always there. It's always there in the center of your heart, in this singularity. And you can connect with the source of that at all times. When you come into the heart, you realize that what you thought was real, what you thought had this mass, it doesn't matter anymore. There's a deeper reality inside your heart. And we call it emptiness. We call it silence. Because it feels as if it's devoid of all form. It's in this realm of pure potential energy, and it's intelligent love. As my teacher once said long ago, intelligent love. I just rung a gong in my heart. I'm going to play for you right now, guys, this clip with Josh and I from an earlier webinar called A Crash Course in Ultimate Reality, and where we talk about this creative process and how to begin to access this field, what it means, what it feels like to begin to touch this field and begin to create from your heart, and how this technology of creating from your heart really works. So I'll turn myself off right now and play this clip for you guys. Hope you guys enjoy it. What we really want to communicate to you guys tonight is